grant application webinar. We do have this thing recorded so that we can share with folks that couldn't make it. Um, so let's go ahead and advance the slide. And it is nice if we know who's in the room through the chat. It's a nice record. So we are going to share a ton of info today. You might want to pull out a little notepad. But also, you'll see as we go down, we also have office hours. So if you don't catch something today, you can catch the recording or take notes or always visit us during our office hours. This application isn't open very long though, so just know that ahead of time. So mute your microphones in case you have background sound. Access, there is captions available. The instructions for captions are below. And then questions. Again, this is usually a very small webinar. You can ask questions as you go along, put them in chat, raise your hand, or just at the very end, we can do questions. All right, so we can advance. And a little introduction to us. So I'm Miguel Guillen. I am the program manager for the Grants to Organizations program. I'm the program manager for this art service organization program. We've got Ashley Marshall here, who will introduce herself in a minute. And Lisa, let's start with Ashley.
Hello, everyone. Ashley Marshall, she, her pronouns. I'm the administrative assistant here for Grants to Organizations. I've been with Artois for a little over 2 years now. So excited to see everyone today. And I'll pass it to Lisa.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here and meet you. I'm the new program specialist with Grants to Organizations. I've been here for just a couple of months, and I'm excited to hear more about what's going on in Washington. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, and I've been with Artois for, I think coming on 10 years now. So I've been here a while. Let's see. So some grounding. Well, excuse me. We'll tell you about what Grants to Organizations is. We'll give you a grant overview of this specific grant, the purpose, eligibility requirements, the timeline, some FAQs, and then, of course, always open to your questions, the evaluation criteria, some tips for a strong application. Our tips are generally universal type application tips, and we'll share those with you. And then we'll do a walkthrough of the submittable application in submittable. And again, questions anytime. And we can advance. The grants to organizations, what do we do? So we do grants. Our primary program is granting programs are art service organization. And then we do project support, which is support for specific projects as opposed to general operating support, which we also do. And general operating support are funds that go directly into your operating budget. Project support a specific activity. Purpose, build and pilot programs. So in the past, we've worked a lot of the new departments, new concepts for funding come from grants to organizations because we have such a wide footprint on who it is that we serve. Basically, anybody in the state of Washington that's doing something related to arts eventually finds its way to organizations, find their way to our door, and that sparks ideas, and then we present ideas to the agency. One of the probably most successful is the Tribal Cultural Affairs Program. We had a large footprint in getting that program started here at the agency. A lot of that concept came from the applications we were seeing as organizations worked to support tribal communities. Weather trauma, something we're still working on. That takes a lot of state support, but we have been presenting to the our board of commissioners and our executive director on different elements that we're seeing in applications related to weather trauma. Some additional ones that aren't listed there is we are working on creative aging. We've been trying to get a creative aging program started here at the Arts Commission. Again, a lot of that comes from what we're seeing in applications. And Then we also had a large footprint in the wellness, arts, and military program, again, connected to what we were seeing in applications with regards to organizations' hopes to serve military connected families and individuals. And we can advance. So our primary mission is to reach cultural equity as much as possible through our very limited funds, expand the creative economy by creating as much of a supporting footprint as we can. We like to do operating support as much as possible for this purpose to make sure, because again, our grants are small, that organizations have that sort of base funding to do the work that they do in effort to expand the creative economy. And then supporting arts participation in general for the public. Everything we do, of course, because it is funded with taxpayer money, has to be accessible by the public. So our primary outcome of our programming is supporting arts participation by the general public. And we can advance. So the Art Service Organizations grant is a very specific grant. It in function, what it does is it covers day-to-day business expenses. It's an operating support grant that we give to special types of organizations. We have both statewide and regional art service organizations. General operating support for expenses would fall between the expenses that are covered through this general operating support grant are between July 1st, 2025 and June 30th, 2026, which is our funding period for all our grants. And all right, make sure to let me know if I'm going too fast. Art service organization definitions. So here's what a lot of folks are here for. What is an art service organization, and how am I one? Do I get funding for that, or where do I land in that definition? So regional art service organizations, again, the primary focus of an art service organization funding program is to fund professional development. Uh, Regional art service organizations are smaller in terms of geographic footprint. They provide in-person and online professional development services for arts professionals from a minimum of 3 counties in one ArtsWA defined region. So a smaller art service organization would be a regional art service organization. We allow the professional development to be done both online and in person. We generally like to see regional art service organizations pulling in participants from at least 2 adjacent counties and providing professional development. And professional development is grant writing, any kind of uh, uh, um, you know business, any kind of service that an organization would offer to expand the professional capacity of an organization to grow. Statewide arts organizations are bigger organizations. They cover the entire state. They provide in-person professional development services in 10 or more counties. That means that they actually have workshops, travel to these counties and have workshops and provide professional development on the ground, boots on the ground in those counties. A lot of times and that includes annual convenings and arts professionals from across the state. So an annual convening, for instance, one of our previously funded organizations is Arts Northwest. Arts Northwest provides an annual convening, and then a lot of that convening consists of individual professional development courses and workshops and sessions. So that's what we're looking for in a statewide arts organization. And going forward, eligibility, we want you to be a 501(c)(3). We are funded by the National Endowment for the Arts, which has that requirement, or be fiscally sponsored by a 501(c)(3). at least 2 years of continuous operation as a nonprofit arts organization or fiscally sponsored by a nonprofit arts organization, 501(c)(3), at least 2 years of ongoing professional development services, at least one paid staff that works 20 paid hours per week, a board of directors, a board-approved annual year-end operating budget that reflects actuals and includes program expenses. Not eligible. Most of our programs here at ArtsWA do not fund individuals, individual artists, etc. For-profit organizations, we only fund nonprofits. Religious organizations we generally don't fund religious organizations for any type of operating support grant. We do fund religious organizations through project support grants, government agencies and departments, and unless you're designated as a local arts agency. A local arts agency is normally a nonprofit or a department of an agency that is designated officially by the local government to do that local government's arts work, outreach, running programs. Local arts agencies aren't discipline specific. They generally are the art and culture arm of a local government and are officially designated to do so. And that's an official designation that requires a document that states that they're officially designated. Universities, colleges, academic departments, and K through 12 schools. We don't fund those primarily because we can't afford to. And we don't fund those because there is an overlap of public funding a lot of times for those types of organizations. And then we do have a list of things that we do and don't fund. Those are linked in our guidelines and on our website. And that's a general overview of types of expenses that either as a state funded organization or a federally funded organization, we're just not allowed to do. So we want to make sure folks are checking in on that page as they're putting together their grant applications.
And just jumping in here, Miguel, Tanya Morris has a question about being fiscally sponsored.
Mhm.
Their question is, we are fiscally sponsored and do not have a board, but our fiscal sponsor does. Are we still eligible?
So that's the requirement of um, we do like you to have a board. But if you have, our primary concern really is that you have three individuals that have official designations like director, treasurer, arts director, or that kind of thing. The reason I'm kind of a little hesitant on fully answering that is because the fiscal sponsor, depending on who it is, might have their own requirements. So you want to check with your fiscal sponsor first to see what their requirements are of you, and then check in with us. Hope that answered your question, but we can approach that again at the end if there's lingering thoughts on that. Right now, timeline application is open. It opened on the 6th. It closes on 31st. This is probably our shortest application period that we run. We usually like to run them 6 weeks, but again, this is such a small program that we run it for just a short amount of time. Application info sessions today. And then office hours, again, as I mentioned at the beginning, if you didn't catch that, we are open. We have open office hours on the dates listed there. And you sign up, you come in, and we discuss whatever is in the room. We usually spend about an hour or so with folks. A lot of time, it is a group session, so you hear what other people are working on. Sometimes that's helpful, sometimes it's not. But generally, that's the best way that we can do these office hours. So office hours are open sessions for you to ask questions and clarify any thoughts. And then the notification of applications. We're trying to get them out by the last week of May this year. And required to apply. 501c3 applicants, you'll need your IRS letter of determination. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up at the IRS site. And usually, if you have registered as 501c3 and you've lost your copy or you're not aware of it, you can get a copy, a downloadable copy of your original designation by the IRS as a tax exempt federally tax exempt organization from the IRS. Your organization's board approved operating budget of your past fiscal year that includes actuals for program expenses. Your organization's board approved fiscal year's anticipated operating budget. We want to see where you're putting your money. Again, it's a sketch of where you're putting your money, but we want to see that you're actually contributing money to professional development in some way. List of your organization's board of directors, active staff, include position titles, number of hours worked per week per position, your organization's most recent board approved strategic plan. And going back to that question about fiscal sponsorship and boards, we are very keen in wanting to establish new relationships with young organizations, smaller organizations that are doing professional development. So I'm always open to discussing how it is that your organization is laid out for you at the current time. If you are fiscally sponsored, we will require more information from your fiscal sponsor because in actuality, they are the ones holding the contract. Okay, we can advance. IRS letter of determination for your fiscal sponsor. Operating budget, pretty much the same stuff, only this time it's about you and your organization's board approved next fiscal year anticipated operating budget. Your organization's board of directors and active staff include position titles and number of hours worked. Your organization's most recent board approved strategic plan. That is one thing that we will we absolutely need to see that the groups that we're funding, because the fiscal sponsor is holding the contract but isn't actually the one delivering the services in professional development. We do need to see a strategic plan that says your group is anticipating or planning to do as part of your strategic plan professional development. So that is important. That's someplace where we will not waver. And in advance, some ID numbers, more and more, we're needing more and more, more and more numbers. A more recent one is a unique entity identifier, the UEI number that became necessary, I think about, maybe almost 2 years ago now. So that is required. Federal tax ID, statewide vendor number. You do need to be registered with the state and have a UBI. Yeah, so those numbers are created and are required, and I would encourage you to start trying to gather those numbers if you're missing one, and do reach out to us if you have trouble with any of these numbers. We're happy to help you get those numbers. Accessibility is very important to all of us, and at Artswell, we're fortunate to have an accessibility coordinator who's happy to have a phone chat with you about anything you're working on in terms of accessibility. Some frequently asked questions: can organizations apply for multiple Artswell grants? Generally, no. So we usually like to have you within grants to organizations. So you can apply for one grants to organizations grant. You can apply to other programs for grants, but it's one application per program. In other words, if you want to do one operating support grant from the grants to organizations and then go over to wellness, arts, and military and look at their programming or arts and education, you can do that, but not within one program. after your application is submitted. With regards to art service organization, it's a very tight process. We don't do panels. What we do, because the requirements are so specific and the outcomes are so specific, we do it in-house. Generally, the staff sits down and looks through the applications. The application is structured in a way that lets us know are all the points in place for a person, for an organization to be to qualify as an art service organization. And then we decide who it is that we can afford to fund, and then we send that over to the executive director, who either approves or asks questions, and then it goes to the Board of Commissioners for the final discussion and approval. Chances of receiving a grant. With art service organization, it's more about do you qualify? It's not competitive in the nature that a normal like general operating support grant would be, where you're competing about, is my program as good as that program and that kind of thing. It's like, do you offer the things that are required to be an art service organization? And that is professional development. Where are you with professional development? You need to be offering specific things around professional development to be an art service organization. So the chances, we normally get about 25 applications, and we generally end up funding 5 organizations. Generally, it's about eligibility more than anything else. So it's about whether or not you are actually a art service organization according to the definitions. Now, we do use a scoring criteria, and we are looking at the programming. How does that break down in terms of professional development? Management and impact is always important in the general operating support grant. This is in a lot of ways to ensure for our auditors that we're evaluating organizations financially, and then your distribution of services. Again, that is an eligibility. Are you applying an eligibility criterion? Are you applying for regional? Are you applying for state? Are you, if you're a regional, are you working with other local counties and that kind of thing? So we're looking at your distribution of services and then scoring you on that. And again, we do score the applications as staff, and then it goes to the commissioners. And that board meeting is actually wrong. I think we changed it. We're going to try and get it to, well, we did change it. We're going to try and get this to the board on February 4th so we can notify people sooner. And it's a real tight turnaround with the application closing on the 31st, but we're going to try and do that. If not, it would go to the April one. And narrative questions, again, these are just general. The ASO, the Art Service Organization application, has 4, I think it is, narrative questions, which are important. And then it asks you to let us know what your mission statement. So what we want you to do with the narrative questions for an application for an art service organization are really important. And what we are saying with avoid aspirational answers is providing information that's not specific to professional development. It's like we kind of do this, we every now and then we do this, or we try and do this, or last year we had 2 workshops or something like that. Um, that's not exactly aspirational, but that's just like a lot of information that isn't giving us specific details about professional development, what you do. Be specific, be concise. Art service organization is about professional development. We want to see that you're putting a percentage of your energy into developing professional development resources for arts professionals in Washington. Very specific. And we can advance. Work samples, again, a little bit different for art service organizations. With an art service organization application, we want to see that everything matches up. So we want to make sure that the images and things that you share with us are reflective of your professional development offerings. If you do promotional, if you do communications around getting your program out there directly related to professional development, that's the kind of thing we want to see. We want to see images that show workshops, that show you teaching, that show you doing the professional development. We want to be able to link that all together in your work samples. Your budget, again, budgets in general for applications are always a narrative in numbers. And this is something I've been saying. I've been an arts administrator for coming on 20 years now. And I've always told folks, your numbers are as much a narrative about what you do as your words. And your numbers should match up and be reflective of the words and information you provide in your application. Numbers that don't match can really throw things off, especially if you have a paneled process. Different panelists will arrive at different solutions, different answers, different, you want your numbers to be exactly reflective. In art service organization, it's really important that we see how much of your budget you are committing to professional development. So we can pop into submittable now and take a look at the application. It is. So if you haven't been to Submittable before, you will need to create an application or a profile there and complete that to get to the application. If you have used Submittable before, you just sign in. So this is what the application looks like. We ask the very basic questions about your organization and where you're located. Where you're located, this for art service organization, I want to just clarify, there's two types of things that we're looking for. One is where you are physically located. That's related to our funding. We want to be able to indicate to our funders, which is the National Endowment for the Arts in the state, where it is that we are funding organizations physically. This is the county you're in. This is the legislative district you're in, that kind of thing. We understand that you can provide services outside of where you're physically located, other counties, et cetera, but we ask these questions in two different segments. Just to, clarifying on that, how long you've been in operation is important to us. Is it 1 to 3 years? We can't fund organizations that are in existence for less than a year. That's another requirement of the NEA. And let's see, identification numbers and those are the numbers we talked about earlier that you'll need to pull together. I will ask you if you have conflict of interest. Let's go into the application questions. So geographic reach, again, this is where I was talking about. This is where you decide, are you applying as a regional, as a statewide? If you click on any of these answers, it'll open up additional questions related to whether you're applying for regional or statewide. And regional, we have this very large map that shows you what the regions are, and then you select um, and regions where your county serves. So this is sort of the distinction between where you're based and where you serve. And with regional, we like to see two counties that are hopefully connected and very close to the county where you are physically based. And let's see, what else do we have here? So these are the narrative questions. So right here, what we're looking at is your mission statement as the applicant organization. So not the mission statement for your fiscal sponsor, but if you're fiscally sponsored, but the mission statement for your organization, and then your strategic plan goals. So we do ask you to upload a copy of your strategic plan, but we also ask you to list here what the goals are. We want to know what the management is of your organization. Again, these are operating support funds, and we want to be clear on how your group is managed. Impact, what is the sort of the outcome of what it is that your professional development services offer and net in your community? And inclusion, of course, is important to us. Diversifying the arts field is important for all of us, and so we want to know how you are working to gain interest and teach diverse members of your community in the arts management. And your goals, what your goals are as an organization, how it is that you are, where it is that your organization is going. For regional, where we're asking for 10% of your budget and work to be in professional development as an art service organization in a regional area. We want to know how you, as an organization, and again, just a few words about how it is that providing art service develop or professional development services in your region helps the total outcome of your organization, your reason for existence. We do this, we perform, we bring art to the community, but then 10% of our energy is put into making sure that our region is well educated in the arts and that kind of thing. So budget, what you're asking for, we're very limited right now. Um, we can only provide $6,000 a year. One of the reasons that we had more stringent guidelines around the distinction between regional and statewide because our grants used to be about $25,000 or more for this program. As our programs have grown or as our constituency has grown, but our funding has not, we've had to just really knock that down. And today we were having a discussion of what art service organization might look like in the future. For right now, we are at $6,000 a year distributed twice. $6,000 for the first, it's a 2-year grant, $6,000 for the first year, $6,000 for the second year. It's a very base funding to support your organization's work in art service, providing professional development. We want you to upload your budget. What we're looking for uh, in your budget. And the reason we ask for expenses in terms of programming is this all becomes an audit tool for us. We very regularly get audited for the funds that we distribute. When we have an application that is operating support, the chances are that it will be audited either that it will be audited. And so what this application serves as is sort of our checkpoints to auditors about how it is that we're evaluating the distribution of money to your organization. So that's why you want to see and be able to use your budget with your program expenses as part of that audit trail. And this is where we ask you to list your programs and what they're called. We don't have to use all those, of course. We have learned that if we don't have enough spaces, someone always needs an extra one. If you just use one or two, if you're a small organization and you have 2 professional development services that you offer a year, that's fine. You just type that right in and a little short description and on and on. And we will use that again as part of our evaluation process and also as part of our audit trail. And work samples, as I mentioned earlier, we really want to see you delivering the services that you said you deliver with regards to professional development. We want to see you teaching. We want to see a classroom with folks in it or something like that. And there's different ways of uploading work samples. You can upload video, however you want to do that, but we really want to see the reflection of professional development as outlined in your narrative, as outlined in what you're letting us know in your work samples. We just want to all be able to put it all together And supporting documents that we mentioned earlier, and you upload them here. There's several different ways of doing that. Again, if you can't find your IRS letter of determination, the IRS usually has that. And then you just upload all those here. Your strategic plan is very important to us too. So upload that. And what else do we got here? And then you're done. And then you submit that, and we get to it as quickly as possible. Again, it's a very small grant program, so we can usually do these things pretty fast. So let's go back to, and the next steps, gather your work samples, put together your budget, think about your narrative responses, keep them professional development, offering service oriented so that we can really zoom in on that. Gather your organization information. After your application word before going into the application, if that's helpful to you. Always you can reach out to us. We're always here. Just, give us a call, set up an appointment, visit us during office hours. We're always, what we don't have in money, we have in experience. So we're always happy to chat with you about what you have going on. And that's it. So managing this grant program is going to be myself and me and Ashley primarily. Lisa has joined us. She's new to staff. She's got other focuses, and right now she's basically shadowing us and looking at how we run applications. She's very new. We're very excited to have her on staff, but she won't be the one actually managing this program. That's why her name is not listed here. And that's it. Any questions? Yeah, I don't see any hands. Again, you can always reach out to us. We're happy to chat, about ASO or really about anything. We're your arts commission. Again, what we don't have in funds, we have in experience, and we're happy to always share that with you. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. Right, I don't see any questions. I guess we got through this really quickly. Ashley, do you have anything in chat?
No,
Or
just everyone saying thank you. So I guess we'll end it there. Thank you everyone for attending. And like Miguel said, you can always register for office hours. And we really appreciate everyone being here.
just in general, y'all, whenever you want to talk to us, we're always here.